We're seeing a transformation in the property market that is flying under the radar. We're going to tell you the untold truths. Stay tuned. Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. Mr. Mark Novak, real estate agent and property provider.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
The
check
landscape.
it.
That's different to
Queensland.
Queensland.
The thriving Gold Coast Queensland economy. Checking it
Day
out at the
two.
moment.
Day two of the biggest real estate conference in the Southern Hemisphere. What are the people saying? What's the sentiment from the real estate agents of the world?
Do you know what was said? So AREC, biggest real estate conference in Australia, 5,000 real estate agents. The thing that was said the most, that was not said on stage, the thing that was spoken about most widely between real estate agents that was not spoken about on stage, because there was like 15 speakers, motivational stuff like that. But the elephant in the room was the most widely thing spoken about in our industry at the moment is providing more property in the market. There's immigration. It's put pressure on providing properties. Rents going through the roof. But the actual solution, which everyone was speaking about, was just simply how hard it has been made for an investor to invest in this country. Some states are doing it better than other states, but chronologically, the last 10 years, which we'll break down in a second very quickly, the ratchet has been put on the landlord or the property investor every single year. Another ratchet, another ratchet, another ratchet, and tightened and tightened and tightened. Yeah,
it is interesting, and I think a lot of people would agree. The conversations you were having yesterday, it's the same whether you own one property and trying to rent that out, or whether you own 5 properties and trying to rent those out. Same pressures.
Yeah, well, there's just to break it down very quickly, like there's real simple stuff like being an investor. You will pay 0.5% to 1% more for an investment property interest rate than an owner occupier. So they are penalising the landlord for supplying a property on the rental market by way of interest rate, by way of 0.5% to 1%. Now, you may think to yourself, well, what's 0.5%? It doesn't matter. Well, if you're paying 6% on interest rates, that could be, or if you're paying, 5-6%, and the difference is 1%, it's a 10 or 20% swing on an interest rate. So people are going, well, if I borrow the money on my home, I can borrow my money cheaper. I'll just buy a better house.
Yeah, well, I've got a little comment to drop in here, but increased borrowing costs are making home ownership, less accessible. People, real buyers that are wanting to move in, have got less money to spend now.
Yep.
And then that's making tighter lending criteria is making it harder to borrow. So investors don't have the capacity to supply housing. So it's burning the candle from both ends here.
Look, if you screw the landlord won't come out and play anymore. That fact, right? They're just not going to do it. So the landlords have just been screwed by the interest rate. Furthermore, they used to have a facility where it was healthy and okay to, like, first of all, there's that difference in the interest rate of 0.5% or 1%, but it was healthy. It was okay to do an interest only loan. And then the banks decided, then the government turned around and said, look, that's not healthy lending policy. We want to see our economy get out of these interest only loans. We want to see investors paying off their debt, which allowed investors, which put more pressure on the investor. Didn't allow them to buy more property, It didn't allow them in most circumstances to keep their properties, so they sold them because they were coming off interest-only periods and going on to a principal interest. Now that swung about 30% of their repayments. So they were like, "No, this is too hard. I'm getting out." Like that's another second reason why they're getting out of this market. They're just making it so goddamn hard for these investors.
I thought it was an interesting comment off air as well. Where has that money been moved to? And I think you summed it up really well.
Yeah, absolutely. So all these things that we're working through today. The interest only, the like the higher interest rate for an investor, land tax. Like if you're in our area, Northern Beaches, you can buy a house for $2 million. For $2 million, if you're already over the threshold for land tax because you own other stuff, and you decide you want to buy a house as an investment. $600 a week, $580 to $600 a week is going towards your land tax bill.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
Why would I buy a house as a landlord? Why would I provide a house as an investment property to tenants when I've got to pay $600 a week straight off the bat? Another thing, just the landlord's going, I'm out. Land tax just is out of control. Third thing.
And so what we found here is people are moving their money back into their primary residence, which has obviously helped to, just move prices again. But people are, reinvesting into their principal place, not paying any capital gains tax on it, and enjoying a better lifestyle.
Well, I think, when you go to the wife and you go, look, invest, like we should buy an investment property. And she's like, yeah, but, this is how hard it's going to be when you go through these things that we're talking about. And you go, nah, let's just put a pool in. Or let's just change the house. Let's do something different. So, they're not becoming a landlord. Furthermore, and this is the gauntlet that nobody speaks about, is I was at a table of 20 people last night having dinner, a bunch of real estate agents. We looked at the table and one of the guys said, that end of the table, in the 80s, in the 70s, probably a third of that table had an investment property. And the government turned around and said, you know what? All of you here should be saving for your future. And everyone went, yeah, that's cool. And then they turned around and said, all of you should be putting in 10% of your wage, saving for the future. We're going to call it super. So what it actually did was it introduced, which was fantastic, it introduced everyone sitting at that table of 20 people to have a bit of money when they retire. The problem was when they robbed that 10% from people to give it to super, that end of the table that were investors that were providing properties to the rental market didn't have that free cash. They were spending that 10% on an investment property. Now they have to spend that 10% on super. In Australia, there's $10 trillion worth of property. In Australia, there's $2.5 trillion now sitting in super. Now that super didn't go across to property. In most circumstances, it's not enough to purchase an entire property or loan to buy a property. So it's basically robbed people from going out there. It's robbed people from going out there and buying an investment property. All the things we've spoken about this morning categorically are stopping investors from getting into the market.
And this is the perfect storm reshaping, the market. That's a great little summary there. So I'm curious. It sounds like we're having a bit of a whinge this morning, but where's the solution here?
Well, if you need food, everyone's saying they need more properties in the property market. It's like saying, oh, we need more food. We don't need more properties in the property market. We need more landlords. Once you introduce the landlords and they want to be landlords and they're comfortable being landlords, they're happy to invest, then they find the property. Once they find the property, then the tenant's got a property to rent. So the problem is not actually, it's in it's they're heading in the middle of the food chain, saying, oh, okay, we just need more food. It's not. You need the market needs more landlords, and landlords have been absolutely slammed in the last 10 years from being landlords. It's not cool. It's and that people have categorically removed themselves from being landlords in the market, which has just made it so hard for tenants to get something that's decent value now.
Yeah.
You know
There
what,
you go.
Billy? It's very clear. If you look at the property market in our area, houses have done more than double in 10 years. Houses have done 130 to 150%. Houses, that's double and a half. Units have done 70%. So people have moved. The asset class of houses has performed much better on the back of affordability. For investment properties, people go, look, I'm not going to go buy something strata and rent it out. So that asset class has sort of deflated a little bit. People have moved their money into, improving their house and
Yeah.
not buying an investment property because they've been slammed. I don't know why people don't. I can't understand why people can't see what's happening with investors in the market being deleted. These guys are having a really hard time. They are not being incentivized. All the incentives have been taken away and ratcheted down the last 10 years massively, and we've just lost a shit ton.
There you go. There's the summary.
There you
10
go.
minutes. That's
There's a
what people,
summary.
and that's
And
the real estate sentiment in the marketplace, not the buyer, not the
that's what
seller.
I'm talking about. Yeah. And and not only that, but people are actually feeling it so tight. They're actually taking their money to other states. They're saying, you know what, it's just that little bit easier to buy something over there. Let's buy over there. So New South Wales is losing a lot of investment monies into investment properties, because again, it's just been made harder.
Perth, Queensland,
Yep.
Tasmania. Yeah. Yep. Thank you, Mark. We're not having a whinge, but we're here to tell the untold truths.
Yeah. There you go,
It's
guys.
rough out.
I still think buying investment property, it's going to be very hard, that's for sure, but super profitable. When
Yeah.
everyone zigs, zag.
Yeah. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks, guys. See ya. Bye.
Bye.